Hello and welcome to today's video. Now, I'm often asked, well, which books do you need, Jules, to fill in the gaps in your collection? Well, that's exactly what this video is all about. I'm going to be showing you the books that I still need to fill holes in my collection, and I'll be telling you exactly what I'll be willing to pay for some of these rare books. So if you've got them, you might be quite surprised. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay, so first off, before we get actually into the books that I need, I wanted to go over a little bit about condition and also about editions. So we're going to start with the Penguin books that I'm after. Now, this is a typical Penguin orange fiction title. It's number 386. Now, it's printed during the war. This one, August 1942. So the pages are quite thin. This is an above average copy of this particular one. But I would class this, it's got a little bit of spine coming away there. I would class this as VG plus to fine. So a really, in all honesty, an excellent copy. Now, so obviously the better the condition, the better the offer will be. However, the offers that I'm going to make are sort of this sort of condition or slightly worse, sort of VG plus sort of condition. I also, with my Penguins, I want them to be first editions. So that's not the first time the book was ever published. It's the first time it was published as a Penguin. So if you have a look at this one here, it says it was first published in 1939, but first published in Penguin Books, August 1942. And that's what I'm looking for. It's the first time the book was published as a Penguin. All right. Here's another example here with a crime book. This is number 436, Max Carados. Quite a scarce crime title, this one. This is more in line with what you would typically expect to find these in, sort of VG. Published during the war, best part of 80 years old, give or take a year or two. And a crime title that's been through, it's been read a few times. It's, not exactly, it's setting the world on fire. Cover almost slightly detached there, but it is still a first printing there. There we are, 1943. And that's what we're looking for. So that would be what I would class as a decent sort of VG all-round copy. Here's another one here, same sort of period, number 435. This is a scarce wartime crossword book. And this one's in, pretty nice condition, this one. I don't think any of the puzzles were actually attempted on it. And in a lot of cases, these only ever had the one print. And once again, published 1943, first published in Penguin. There's no sign of it saying a reprint or anything. So, now that you've got an idea of sort of what I'm looking for, because they all come from this sort of period, which is a period when, there was paper rationing and the print runs on the Penguins weren't exactly very high. And also, copies just didn't survive. And that's what makes them difficult to find today. Now, I need just a handful of books to finish the first 1,000 Penguin books in first edition. And the first one we need is number 327, which is Full House by M.J. Farrell. So this is the only orange title that I need in the first 1,000 Penguins. And it was originally published in May 1942. So for this particular one, in VG Plus or better condition, sort of what we've just seen there, I will pay up to £300 for that particular one. Next, we've got number 410, which is a crime one, Artifacts Intervenes, Richard Cavern. This is the first of the crime titles that I'm missing 4. And this was published in June 1943, but inside it says it was published in May 1943. This one I'll pay £250 for. Number 429, Why Shoot a Butler, Georgette Hare. So I've missed out on getting this one a couple of times fairly recently. So there's definitely copies out there because I've seen them. This was published in July 1943. And once again, about £250 for this one. Speedy Death, number 433, Gladys Mitchell. This is another one I've seen one of them this year, and that was Falling to Bits, and that sold for £150. It's scarce, but copies do exist. Now, it was published in May 1943. It's got a printed date of April 1943, and once again, £250 or thereabouts for a decent copy of the first. And the last sort of crossword book I need, this is to finish off all the crossword books that were pre-war is number 460, which is the third Penguin crossword book. Now, I don't like paying big money for crossword books because the only people who are really going to be interested in them are completists like me, who are trying to get a publisher's complete output, or people who specifically collect crossword books, and I do know of at least one person who does do that. That being said, because it's the only pre-war crossword book that I'm missing, I don't mind paying a fairly reasonable price for it. Now, it was published in August 1944, and the best offer for a top grade copy would be £200, and that's similar condition to the one that we've got there. If you've got one and it's lower condition, absolutely of interest, even if a few puzzles have been done, that's fine, but the offer would be a little bit less. And then the last of the ones that I've not got at all is number 464, Death on the Borough Council by Josephine Bell, another crime title. This was published in July 1944. It's a great title. I'd love to pick up a copy, and once again, £250 or thereabouts for a really nice copy of it. Now, the next book I'm after is one I've already got. It's this one here. It's Brighton Rock by Graham Greene. This is the first Penguin edition, 1943. There we are. Look, first published 1938, first published in Penguin Books, 1943. So on the face of it, quite a nice, fairly bright copy of it. It's got a name on the side there. It has got what is known as a mottled spine. So the spine is almost like got some rusting and dirt. The number's still there, and the back cover's there. So it's all complete. But the actual front cover got detached, and I've had to re-glue it. So it's not great, but it's not bad either. But it is one of my all-time favourite books, and a very, very cherished Penguin edition. So I'm after a replacement copy of this one that's in absolutely tip-top condition, and for that I will pay £50 just to replace that one. Now, the last three books to complete my Penguin First 1000 are also all crossword books, and they're similar era to this one. So this is number 940, and you have a look, it's sort of a later post-war crossword book. So it came out in the 1950s. This one's untouched. It's actually a really, really nice copy of that one. Now, as I said earlier on, I resent paying big money for crossword books, even if they are fairly scarce, because I'm literally only picking them up to fill the number in, so I've got the full run. But there's three crossword books that I need, and that's number 643. That's the Manchester Guardian second crossword puzzle book. Number 774, the Times fourth crossword puzzle book. And lastly, number 775, 100 crossword puzzles from the Daily Telegraph third series. Now, all these are fairly similar. They all look like this one. Copies of them are out there. In fact, copies of virtually all of these are either on eBay or Abe Books, but they're priced at £25 a pop, which I just think is too high. So my offer on these, even if they've got the first few puzzles done, which is quite common in crossword books, is £15 each on those. If they're absolutely mint or very, very nice condition that is untouched, I might be pushed to go to about £17.50, £18 for it. All right, but that is it for the main series Penguin books. Next, we've got what is known as the Forces Book Club. Now, there's 120 of these in the series that were ever published, 10 for each month of the year. And I've brought down a couple of examples here. They've got their own distinctive cover design, and they actually say the Forces Book Club down the bottom. Now, they are pretty scarce because they were designed to be bought as a subscription and then sent overseas to troops serving abroad during the war, and to give them something to read. And how many of those, in all honesty, have survived that journey and made their way back to the UK? Now, prices vary widely. Some of them are quite are high because they're by collectible authors. Some of them are crime titles. Some of them are just obscure odd pelicans, which aren't really that sort of collectible at all. But as a general rule, I'll pay for ones that I haven't got about £50 a copy. Now, here's an example of one which is cover detached. Not unusual with these. Often they'll have something inside like to say the Forces Book Club, and then they're just like an ordinary penguin. The printings can be all over the place on these. This one says it's published in the Forces Book Club 1942. They don't all say that. So as long as it's got this jacket on, you know that it's it's a correct title, basically. Here's a later one here. This is the Forces Book Club month 10 for October, Sporting Adventure. And so they come in different colours. So it says 14 Forces Book Club on the inside cover there. But there we are. No mention of the Forces Book Club in the printing history there. But it obviously is a Forces Book Club title. So if it's a title that I've already got, I will still be interested because I can always trade those on with other collectors down the line. But as a general rule, if you've got any in the Forces Book Club range, I'll pay about £50 a pop for those. And then a similar sort of thing, this is the Prisoner of War titles. So these are identifiable because it's got the Prisoner of War book service on the inside front cover. Now, at the moment, there's no sort of definitive list about how many of those or how many of these were actually produced. But I've got a fair selection now. I think I'm about 10 now. Here's an example of another one. Now, as a general rule, if it's editions that are in the Prisoner of War book service that I haven't got, I generally pay about £15 to £25. So this one here, which is really beaten up, it's got a taped spine and taped back cover as well. We are looking at probably about £15 for one in that condition. However, one like this, which is exceptional, really good considering where it's come from, although this does seem to be Claudius the God 1 and 2, quite a common Prisoner of War title, I'd be paying £20 to £25 for. Now, once again, if you've got Prisoner of War titles and they've got really interesting stamps on, if they were literally got a Prisoner of War Stalag Luft German stamp on, for example, or it's come from the camp library, things like that, that actually makes them slightly more desirable to me because they've got some history, even though in effect they've ruined the book. That doesn't matter to me because it's the sort of thing I'm after. So if you've got anything along those lines, Forces Book Club, Prisoner of War titles, definitely they're the sort of things that I'm after. And the very last word on the Penguin books would be, if you do have sort of unusual sort of hardback editions, shop display signage or vintage point of sale, unusual signed editions, bookseller catalogues, order forms, that sort of thing, particularly by collectible authors, that's definitely of interest to me, as well as we'll go on at the end, sort of big runs of certain publishers, definitely of interest to me. Now we'll move on to Pan books now. So first of all, Pan X705, the third Pan Junior Crossword book by Robin Burgess. Now this is not for me, it's for my friend Tim Kitchen. He runs the Vintage Pan Collectors website, ticket.net, fantastic resource online for everything vintage pan. It's the last book that he needs in first edition. The book actually was reprinted, so copies are out there, but for some reason he's just not been able to track one down. So if you've got the third Pan Junior Crossword book by Robin Burgess, Pan X, that's a giant 705, drop me a line and I'll pop you in touch with Tim, and I'm sure he'll be very pleased to buy it off you. Also, speaking of Pan books, one thing I am trying to get a run of is these, which is the Pan Record magazine. So this was something that Pan sent out to customers as a mailer, and it just listed sort of new titles, and I really like these. I've got a few doubles to trade, but I haven't got them all. So if it's an issue that I've already got, I'll pay like about a £5 a copy for it. If it's one that I do need, I'll pay like a tenner, basically. I haven't got all the numbers I need to hand, but if you've got any copies of the Pan Record, please just drop me a line, and we can take it from there, because it's a magazine I'd very much like to sort of lick if I could, And once again, any Pan related memorabilia, order forms, catalogues, shop mobiles, displays, dump-ins, anything of a vintage nature like that, definitely do please give me a shout, along with original cover artwork. That sort of thing is also of interest. Now, there are a few other series that I'm very much into, which I'd be more interested in, like generic collections. However, there was one odd book I wanted to just see if anyone's got a copy of. So you might be aware of this. These came out in the 70s and early 80s. The Edge series. It's a Western series by George Gilman. In the UK, they were printed by the New English Library, and I need just one number to finish the run, which is number 60. So you see this is number 61. If you've got number 60, I'm after it. I'll pay, I don't know, £25 for a really, really nice one like this. I've missed out 2 this year that I've gone on buy it nows for about a tenner. So, you know, if someone can come up with number 60 for me, I will pay £25 for it just to finish the Edge run, and then I can do a video on them. Now, finally, I just wanted to show you some of the other publishers that I collect and I would be willing to entertain. If you send me lists and the books are in, you know, nice condition, sort of VG or better, and they're nice vintage first printings by that publisher, these are the sorts of books that I am interested in looking for, either in small amounts or in huge collections. I don't mind. I'm happy to buy in bulk, and that goes for anything, Penguin, Pan, and any of the following publishers that we're about to have a look at. So these are also wanted then. 4 square paperbacks. Corgi books, vintage corgi books with the smaller sort of size. Pan books, obviously I've got a lot already, like the Penguins, but I'm happy to buy them in bulk. Another pre-war publisher, which is Albatross Books. Here's a couple of examples of Albatross. They were like the Penguin template publisher in effect. So if you got any of those, they'd be of interest. I also collect the Collins Crime Club. Here's a couple of nice early examples here, number 88 and 89. They're great fun. Don't need to be in dust wrappers, just with or without dust wrappers. It's absolutely fine with me. Fontana books, this is what came after Collins. They morphed into Fontana. Really like these early sort of Fontana numbered ones. Anything sort of under 1,000 is of interest. So these are early-ish Panther books from the early sort of 1950s. Quite like those. The early ones have got quite distinctive spines. But once again, I think sort of pre-19, sort of late 60s is of interest. This is an American publisher. These are Ballantine books. You can see the BB. They did a lot of science fiction, but I'm after all genres. And once again, these are numbered. So any sort of Ballantine books under about number 600-700 are of interest to me. They need to be nice condition, and they need to be first printings. You've seen these before on the channel. These are Dell books, American again, and these are Dell matte-backs. So if you've got any matte-backs and that are in nice condition, like these ones are, definitely interested in buying in bulk. Be paying £3 to £5 depending on condition on those. These are the Hutchinson Pocket Library. Now I've pretty much got most of these now, but it would be always nice to upgrade my copies if I could. I think most of mine are first printings, but even so, if you've got a run of these and they're in nice-ish condition, do bear me in mind, because it might be something that I'd be after. Digit books. I love these digit books. I'd love to get some more if I could. So if you've got little runs of digit books, definitely interested in these. Once again, sort of £3 to £5 a copy, depending on if they're really nice nick or not. I do prefer to buy in bulk, of course. And the last series I wouldn't mind getting some more of. I think there's about 20. It's Muthan's Sixpennies. I've got about half of them. They're not all in the greatest of shape, but I'm sure there's just 20 to collect. And if you've got any of those, and it's ones that I haven't got, I'd definitely be interested in those. I'll pay between £5 and £10 a copy, depending on condition. So there you go. Those are the books that at the moment I am currently wanted. Now, if I get some of my specific wants, so some of those Penguins come my way, or I get that odd Edge book and things like that, I'll update the description in the first pinned comment down below. So have a look at the comments. You'll see the first one will be by me as soon as I've got some of these, and I'll pin it. So if I've picked up, I don't know, that issue of Edge number 60, if I've got it, I'll pin a comment to say I've already got it. I don't need it any longer. Now none of this is to resell. These are to just fill in holes in my own collection, as you've seen. So there we are. I hope this will send you scurrying to your bookcases, and if you have got some, do please drop me a line. Ideally include some photographs so I can see the sort of condition, and fingers crossed we can come to a deal. Thanks very much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon with more vintage paperback content. Bye.